Rockin' Larry Lockin' with Pleiadian Express Productions, your host with the most from coast to coast, giving up all the toast, giving you coolness, hotness, and everything you want in this. Hey, I wanted to do a quick talk about something I've grown up with here in America. I'm 48 years old. It's always amazed me the hang up in America. And really, this can apply to people from all over the world, but really, it seems like it's an American cultural thing with sex. Okay, we grow up on one hand being taught to be ashamed of it. Um, it's something that we got to keep hidden in the background, right? Our feelings for sex and what we like about sex. Okay, yet at the same time, I would always go into these stores as a kid, and behind the counter, there would be all these smut magazines just advertising sex. So, on one hand, we're provocating it, but on the other hand, we're taught to be insecure and hung up about our feelings regarding sex. And it's just ridiculous. And it's really not that way. What I learned at a young age was from watching, movies from overseas and TV shows from overseas and Scandinavia and whatnot, is that they were comfortable who they were and standing in their own power as far as what they liked sexually. And it wasn't something that they were guilt ridden about or given a guilt trip about or anything like that. Okay. And even on some of their television shows, they will show nudity. What they don't like showing, what we will do here on our primetime shows historically is, yes, you can see on any given channel on some cop drama, somebody getting their head blown off. Okay, that's okay. Being shot at will, but yet no nudity. Oh my God, absolutely no showing of any human body parts. I get that. Yeah. Well, the opposite is true over there. They don't like showing that stuff of people getting killed and shot at, but they're comfortable with their sexuality. Here, it seems like we're so hung up, or at least past generations have been so hung up on being made to feel guilty about what they liked, whether it was what sexual gender they preferred, whether it was what kind of sex they liked. It's always this real big guilt trip, and it's the drum is always beat into their heads by a lot of people in past generations. Oh, don't have sex till you get married. Wait for the right person. Wait for that right person. Okay. Yet in the meantime, a lot of these parents of past generations, they had kids when they were younger, right? But somehow because and they will try to use the bullshit excuse that, well, I just don't want my kids to make that same mistake. Oh, you know what? Cry me a river. I've got 3 successful kids in their 20s, and it's because of my open mind that they probably are. All right? You can't just expect kids, young people, to not be in tune with feelings, especially when every generation, whether you like it or not, people, I hate to break it to you, because of evolution and because of technology, every generation of kids is more involved and more in tune with their feelings. People like to bitch about these millennials and stuff like that, but they're too smart. They're over the bullshit. They almost don't even need to talk. They almost speak telepathically with each other. All right. So, like I said, you always see these same parents that would have kids when they were young, but they don't want their kids to make that same mistake. But what makes them think that their kids wouldn't be more in tune with feelings than they are and want to experience the same things that they did? And then again, not to get political, but with the abortion thing, right? You get the majority of the same people, and I'm not judging anybody, that are against young ladies having access to an abortion. At the same time, they're also against handing out contraceptives. You know what I mean? They're of that mentality where, like, oh, I don't want to encourage it or anything. Yet, yeah, that's fine in a perfect world, but let's get real about who we are as people, okay? We need to understand that we have feelings, we're in tune, and we should never be ashamed of how we feel sexually, okay? And it doesn't matter as long as the only time that it matters, as far as what I'm going to say, is if you're forcing somebody to do something they don't want to do. And that's the most despicable thing ever. But when two people of consenting age or around the same age have a mutual agreement together and they want to experience something, they should totally do that. They should totally be able to do that and be who they are. There shouldn't be this guilt trip. This guilt trip that's been laid upon kids and laid upon young adults about that kind of thing, it's caused a lot of problems. You look at religious leaders and things like that, and you hear all about all these sex scandals all the time. And I'm not even talking about the ones that, molest kids or anything like that. I'm talking about ones that have affairs with people in their congregation and everything like that. And yet they feel so guilty and that they've sinned. Okay. And again, this is an American cultural problem. And I think it's getting better. I hope it's getting better. But past generations, you just didn't want to, they wouldn't want to talk about it. They didn't want any kind of sexual education in schools. They thought, oh, that's so radical. That's such a radical concept. Oh, yeah, I can't allow them to have any kind of birth control because all I'm doing is encouraging them to have sex, even though you did it when you were younger and you are less than half in tune with your feelings than your kids' generation is. Again, so why wouldn't they want to do it? But it's just this guilt trip that's been played upon us, okay? It's really wild. Hang on, it just seems to me like it's like this dirty little secret, right? I'd grow up knowing other adult males and stuff that would keep a hidden collection of Playboy magazines or Hustler magazines or whatever the smut magazine might be, right? And they were totally cool with looking at all that stuff in private. Yet they couldn't, them and their spouse couldn't be open with each other and talk this stuff out. And hey, what do you like? What do I like? What can we do to bond together? You know, it doesn't matter. When two people love each other and they're both in agreement, making love is the most beautiful thing to ever happen to the earth, right? And it's not about waiting for marriage. It's not about waiting for some fake certificate to sign that says, okay, you guys are married. That's some kind of biblical bullshit. All right. That's crazy. It's just really, really crazy what's going on in America. And the guilt trips galore. Being afraid to admit who you were, being afraid to admit what you like, being afraid to admit who you like. And again, this does not go on that much like over in Europe, right? Hey, yeah, they don't really care for TV shows with all this violence and shit, but they're okay with showing some nudity because they're comfortable with who they are. But we put this guilt trip on our society here in America. We're such a schizophrenic society when it comes to sex. On one hand, oh, it's this really exciting little dirty, dark secret that I have, what I like. And on another hand, oh, I feel so guilty about it. And we've been conditioned in America over the years to feel that way. And it's really, really, really disgusting. It seriously is. And it's caused a lot of problems. It's caused a lot of heartbreak. It's caused a lot of people to do shit that they shouldn't have never done. It's caused a lot of people to be promiscuous, when maybe they shouldn't have been. I don't even know what to say, but American culture has always shunned the idea of sex. And yet at the same time, in the back door, behind the scenes, it's this really taboo, exciting thing. When if we would have just been open about it and allowed people to be who they were all these years, allowed people to be in tune with their feelings and stuff and express them, then maybe we could help guide them a little bit, you know. But when you have to hide it, when you have to hide all those smut magazines and act like, oh no, I'm not about any of that. I've heard and seen so many parents over the years that they will do this stuff in the background and then they jump on their kids' ass if they ever have a smut magazine or if they ever have a premarital sexual relationship, right? It's ridiculous. And again, it's the same thing. They don't think that their kids are as in tune with feelings as they are, and when in reality they're a whole hell of a lot more than they are. So why wouldn't your kids want to experience that kind of stuff as young adults? It's just really sickening, people. America, the sexual hangups and the sexual problems that persist in America and that are a problem have been caused by that kind of thinking of you don't talk about it. You don't see it on TV, no nudity. I mean, what the fuck is up with that? You can see somebody get blown away in a cop drama or some kind of show like that over the last 50 years of, pick anyone you want. It happens on all of them still to this day, but yet you can't show any nudity. Oh my God. I know, because you know what? If a kid were to be watching TV and see like a breast or somebody's behind, man, I don't know. I don't know what would happen to them. They'd probably freak out and go jump out of a building. I don't know. So this whole notion of playing this double door game where, on one hand, it's this smutty, dirty, gross thing, but yet on the other hand, we're going to sell it to the people in in disgusting pornography videos or disgusting smut magazines. We're going to entice them like that, almost like a drug. Whereas we could save ourselves a lot of problems, people, if we would have just been open with each other about it for years, for decades. Be who you are sexually. As long as that partner is of age or around your age and it's completely consensual, having a bonding experience like making love with them, and it doesn't matter the gender to gender, whatever. It's the most amazing experience that could ever happen. It's so powerful, but yet we're taught to feel guilty about it and feel guilty about it. And we have to feel guilty about it. And I could go on and fucking on about it. But I don't know. Hopefully we're making some headway. Hopefully we're making some headway with it, and people are starting to realize. I know the younger generations are, and these old fossils that are still caught in that bullshit mentality. And again, I'm going to beat that drum back again. I've said this probably 3 times on this talking. They'll be like, well, I had a kid when I was young. I don't want them to make the same mistake. It's like, save that shit. I get it. I get it probably more than you do. I've got 3 successful kids in their 20s. Okay, I totally get it. But get a grip. This is why you're so surprised or you're so shocked when your kid comes home or your daughter may come home and say, Mom, Dad, I'm pregnant, or Mom, Dad, I've got a drug problem, or whatever, and you freak out like, oh my God, it's the end of the fucking world. But in reality, because of your closed-mindedness, you created that to happen. You created it, and you are the type of people that are more dangerous. I'm not going to go to this extreme and say that, look, that kind of mentality is more dangerous than somebody that would ever abuse somebody sexually. But that kind of ignorant mentality by a parent as a whole collective is more dangerous by far And that's saying a lot, is more dangerous by far than the sexual abuse cases that go on. Like I said, it goes on in our churches. It's funny, the people that preach abstinence, the people that preach against abortion, against contraceptives to kids, religious leaders, it never ceases to amaze me. And if it wasn't so sickening and sad, it'd be hilarious. They're the ones caught up in these scandals, cheating on their wife, cheating on their girlfriends, screwing around with multiple partners at the same time. That's another thing with sex too, is if you're just doing it to get off for that natural human thrill, yeah, I can understand that. But if you're not having a complete consciousness experience with that partner that you're making love with, right? It's the end result. The orgasm is like anticlimactic, okay? It's the process that is the most beautiful thing, with two people that are totally into it with each other and all about each other's comfort. So I don't know, but this is just some subject, and I'm ranting on, but this is just some subject that has always driven me nuts since I was a little kid, and I could see right through it. Oh, sex is wrong, wait till you're married, all that, yet behind the counter at a 7-Eleven, I'd look over the counter at 7-Eleven and I'd see a Playboy magazine, a Hustler magazine, Penthouse, the usual suspects, right? And yet that was okay. It was okay to use it as a money maker. And it's okay, supposedly, for these married men to go out and get a hooker. And, a lot of them probably would have never had to do that if they wouldn't have been brought up being hung up, or, being hung up on this stuff and not being able to talk about it with anybody. So, like, especially in Scandinavia, they're very brilliant, open-minded people, and they embrace their sexuality. They embrace that bond. They embrace that connection with each other. You know what I mean? And there's not a guilty feeling about it, because it doesn't matter. Good love is good love, as long as both people are totally down with it and of consenting age. It's totally about the love. Rock and lock, and I'm out.